If you guys enjoy this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. My goal is to reach 100 subscribers eventually, and I would greatly appreciate it if you guys could hit that subscribe button and the like button. So, this year's All-Star team, or the voting in specific, would be a lot different than how it usually is, just like how the year has been so far. But the point I am making is people like Carl Anthony Towns, for example. He has been out the whole year, not the whole year, but for most of it. And that's going to impact the voting heavily because usually he's just there. He's always an all-star. But he's dealing with injuries. He got the virus, which I hope he is better soon. And people, if you're in situations like that, it's going to impact you highly, very highly, because I just don't know what's going to happen this year. But in this video, I'm actually going to predict that because that's what we do on YouTube. So for the Eastern Conference starters, here's how I'm doing it. I'm predicting the starters, the bench, the wild cards, and the people who just barely missed it, because there can only be 12 from each conference. So for my starters, it it was okay. Well, this part wasn't hard actually. It was my front court will be Kevin Durant, Giannis, and Embiid for obvious reasons. I feel like they have just been the best people so far throughout the season in the Eastern Conference. It's an easy choice for me. So yep, that's my front court. But in the back court, that's when things get a little bit more interesting because you have candidates like James Harden, Bradley Beal, who is on a losing team. But when you're averaging 30 plus points, I actually got to look up that specific number. But when you're averaging over 30 points, it's kind of hard to just leave you out of the All-Star game, which they did last year, which that was arguably questionable, but I do believe he's going to make it this year. But for my backcourt, I have James Harden and Bradley Beal, and I feel like that's the easiest choice for me, which is kind of debatable for because if you think Kyrie, if you think somebody else, I would not be mad at that. But yeah, for my starters, it is James Harden, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Joel Embiid, and I'm really happy with those selections. Now for the bench, this is when it starts to get a little interesting because my thought process throughout this was not how specific, well, of course, how they're playing, but I really thought about it how if this player misses this amount of games, will this impact the voting? And I'm going to, you'll understand what I mean by that in a second. But okay, I'm gonna get straight to the point. My bench is Trae Young, Kyrie Irving, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Bam Adebayo. And I'm gonna talk about this for a second. I feel like Trae and Kyrie were almost obvious. Yeah. And Jaylen, he's playing. I do truly believe he's gonna be an All-Star this year. He is playing out of his mind so far, and I keep expecting his play to slow down, but it's just not. And so, but yeah, and Jason Tatum, he's missed some games, like I said earlier in the video, but I do truly still believe he's gonna be an All-Star if he plays till March. I believe that's when voting ends, I think. And Bam Adebayo, his team is kind of losing right now, but it's really multiple factors. But he's playing out of his mind so far. He's clearly been the best player on the team so far throughout the season, but usually it's Jimmy Butler. But he's been out, and he actually looks quite skinnier for some reason. I don't know if that's something to worry about or not, but Bam, he's just playing out of his mind. I truly believe he's gonna be an All-Star this season. Well, he was an All-Star last season, and he's been better. He's been averaging 19 points. He's shooting efficiently. He's just one of my favorite players in the league, even though he beat my Bucks. last season. So yeah, and by the way, with Trey, I kind of had to think about that for a second because I was gonna put him in the wild card because there was somebody I was considering putting over him, but you'll see that in a second. But yeah, so again, my bench is Trey Young, Kyrie Irving, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Bam Adebayo. So now for the wild cards, was the hardest part for me, honestly, because somebody who I would usually have as an all-star is kind of struggling so far this season, and I kept them off the list, but I don't feel too. I don't agree fully about that, but I eventually just kept them off the list. But I'm gonna say who I'm talk about in a second after I say the wild cards. But for the wild cards, I have Domantas Sabonis and Chris Middleton. And Domantas, he had a strong start to the season. He kind of slowed down from then, but he's still playing really well for Indiana. And Chris Middleton, he's 50, 40, 90. I do believe he's going to be, last season he made it. He was this close, 0.3 away in the field goal percentage. But I do believe he can crack it or almost crack it again. No, he will crack it this year, I believe. That's my hot take, I guess. But so yeah, the wild cards for me are Domantas Sabonis and Chris Middleton. Now, just missed the cuts. I'm gonna get straight to the point. I have Jimmy Butler, Zach LaVine, Ben Simmons, and Tobias Harris. And Ben Simmons is the biggest just missed for me because my reason is he is struggling this year. He has, I'm not gonna say he's struggling, but a few games he has played amazing, and the other games it's like he's not being aggressive enough. He can be so much because his matchup usually cannot hold him, but you just don't see him doing that anymore like he did last year. And he is still an amazing player, but it's just there is so much there for me, or there is so much there for him to not be using it. So that's the reason. And plus he's just not playing the best so far throughout the season. But Zach LaVine is playing out of his mind. But I think in the Bulls situation, I just think that's gonna end up making him miss the cut, because with Bradley Beal, they're losing too, but then we all know what Bradley Beal is doing, and I kind of feel bad. Well, I can't really feel bad for him because he did kind of sign that contract extension when he knew what the season was going to be like. But it's really hard to leave Bradley Beal off the All-Star team, especially what he's doing now. Jimmy Butler is somebody who I would usually have, but he just has barely been playing so far, and I'm not sure when he's going to be back. But once he is back, Miami should be better. But yeah, Jimmy Butler I just can't put him on this list because I don't know what's going to happen in the future. And Tobias Harris, he is arguably or for sure having an all-star season. But the reason why I just didn't put him on the list is because the front court players I would really prefer over Tobias. Or I think till March. It's kind of hard to explain how am I thinking about it, but I just believe that I would rather have the 12 players in front of him instead of Tobias. But it was really hard to leave him off this list. He is averaging 20 points on 51% from the field, 46% from three. And it's just like, that is a very good season, but it's just, I would rather prefer the people I have in front of him, obviously, instead of, or not that, but I would say coming into March, that's what the people I have in front of him is who I believe who's gonna eventually make the cut. But just to rewind quickly on who I believe is going to make the team, For the East starters, I have James Harden, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Joel Embiid. For the bench, I have Trae Young, Kyrie Irving, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Bam Adebayo. And for the wild card spots, I have Domantas Sabonis and Chris Middleton. So yeah, if you disagree, let me know in the comments who you would rather have. If you agree, let me know in the comments. And yeah, this could easily be wrong, or some spots or some people I put, but this is just my opinion. So just understand that. But yeah, that will be the end of this video. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys will leave a like, I would love that. And I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.